Oh, do we got a show for you today? All that on top of sweet potato muffins with Abby over in the kitchen. Oh, you're going to love these. I'm going to do a couple educational segments. Number one, depression and fungus. What if antidepressants had some antifungal property? Wouldn't that be wild? And then cystic fibrosis. Should we be treating patients with antibiotics as they do? Should we also consider antifungals, as I believe after this segment they may want to consider? Brand new friend, some of you may know, Dr. Julia Schulenburg, we call her Dr. J for short. She left nursing, got a bachelor's degree in nursing, and then became a naturopathic doctor. You are going to love this segment and this show. Let's take it away. My name is Doug Kaufmann. For the past 40 years, I've dedicated my life and even my career to finding the root cause of disease. Join me in a team of physicians, pharmacists, and scientists, and soon you too will know the cause. Friends, thank you for joining me right now. I wanted to pull a book out right here, The Missing Diagnosis, written by Dr. Orion Truss. He's a physician. I've had this book many, many years. I never met the man. It's just one of these brilliant guys who understood mold, mildew, and fungus. The book says on the cover, they may say you're neurotic, but do you experience depression, anxiety, irrational irritability, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, heartburn, indigestion, loss of self-confidence, yada, yada, yada. Inability to cope, lethargy, symptoms from contact with foods, chemical odors, acne, headaches. In women, urethritis, cystitis, repeated yeast infections, premenstrual tension, menstrual problems. In kids, hyperactivity, and it just goes on and on. I loved this when I saw it. I bought this 95 cents in half-price books. The book is amazing. It opens with, they may say you're neurotic, but do you experience depression? The numbers are staggering how doctors have gotten us on antidepressants. I could, someday I'd like one of those little cameras and just walk into 5 doctors' offices and sit there and go, yeah, I really feel bad. I would go out with 5 antidepressants. The side effects of these drugs, be careful. If mania, if walking into a bank with a gun is a side effect of some of these drugs, then I'm worried, folks. I listen all the time to the media. When someone walks into some place and shoots it up, my first question always is, which antidepressant did they begin on? I mean, that's just the way I think. I'm sorry. So depression, is there a fungal component to depression? This is interesting because years ago I first brought you this information, and now I want to get just a couple of graphics here I want to go over with you. But as I review some of these older, asthma and joint pain, arthritis, and the fungal link, we were right decades ago. Science is just now catching up. Folks, it's really exciting. You saw the thing on the news the other day that gut fungi can actually break the blood-brain barrier and induce memory loss. Do you think if it gets in the brain, it could induce depression? Of course. Okay, so let's go to these graphics. Can fungus cause depression? Remember, this is many years ago. In 2001, researchers tested 5 commonly used antidepressant drugs, these are called SSRIs, against Aspergillus, one of the worst fungi. Their findings were reported in the Journal of Antimicrobial Therapy. Okay, you got that? They're testing 5 commonly used antidepressants. It's what half of America is probably on. Their research findings. The 5 SSRIs tested, these are antidepressants in the study, displayed different potencies with respect to both antifungal killing and lag of fungal growth. So this is called fungistatin and fungicidal. Fungicidal is killing the fungus. It is probable that antifungal activity results from, and then I don't think they're right. Okay, it got an interaction with SSRIs and fungal transports, yada, yada, yada. This is medicine at their best. Want to know what I think is probable? It's not what they said. I think it's probable much of our depression is due to fungus. And since SSRIs like Prozac and Zoloft kill fungus, maybe that's why they work so well on people. Could it be? Folks, they're now bringing antifungal drugs on the market to treat cancer. Oh, and they have all the scientific words. Well, obviously cancer isn't a fungus. The reason this works is it interferes with the hedgehog pathway that cancer cells... Come on. Could the reason antifungals work, because cancer has a fungal component, could the reason Prozac works to help people with depression is because the etiology, the cause of their depression is fungus? Gee, I wonder if vitamin C, I wonder if resveratrol, I wonder if some of the B vitamins wouldn't be just as useful. Okay? Why do depressants work? Here's my take. Because poisons interfere with brain activity, poisons being mycotoxins. Aspergillus makes poisonous mycotoxins commonly found in our food supply and indoor air. These are slowly poisoning the brain. The antifungal properties that SSRIs possess stop the progression of these mycotoxins because it kills the fungus that makes them. I mean, is that really complex? If I'm a doctor, it's not only erroneous, but it's way, way complex. It's not how they work. It seems that fungal patterns are disrupted by these SSRIs. Nonsense. Is your depression due to fungus? How are you doing on your antidepressants? Pretty good, Doug. I really performed very well. I'm not here to tell you to throw away your antidepressants. I'm hoping, you know what I named this show? Know the cause. I'm hoping you now better understand why that Zoloft works so well for your social anxiety, or one thing or another. If this were the case, here's what I'd do. If it weren't severe, I'd find a doctor willing to let me experiment for a few weeks. I'd elevate my brain hormones naturally by exercising regularly. Sometimes drugs help you until you know the cause. I'd talk to my doctor about using the harmless supplements instead of drugs after I was stable. I'd starve fungus, fungal spread by following Kaufmann diet. It's a different perspective of the same problem. Some people take these drugs and don't notice any side effects. Thank God, some do. But what's the cause of your depression? If antidepressants that are SSRI help, it may be fungus. Okay? Everybody in this city, in Los Angeles, told me about Dr. Julia. You must interview Dr. Julia. I heard this once, I heard it 1,000 times. Today, that's actually going to happen. I am sitting here with Dr. Julia Schulenburg, holistichealingjs.com. We'll put that up during the show. Dr. J, may I call you?
Absolutely.
Dr. J? You think of Dr. J as that big basketball player, you know?
Yes, and that's just the opposite. I'm just the opposite. I'm less than 5 feet tall, but that's all right.
Well, you're a powerhouse, and your reputation preceded you. Everybody, including my wife, absolutely loves you. You were a nurse, an RN, working in critical care. Now you're a holistic practitioner. You're a naturopathic doctor. What happened? Why the transition?
Well, I grew up really with my family treating ourselves naturally and eating well, and I had a sensitivity to antibiotics, and I could always feel that it always suppressed my immune system. And my son also, he reacted negatively to some steroids and all of that. So I spent really our lifetime being as natural as possible. And then working in the hospitals, probably what really switched me around, because I used to work in critical care. But when I started teaching antibiotic utilization in the hospitals, I started questioning what I was doing, because I thought, if we're giving this antibiotic, but it's causing this fungal overgrowth, then why are we doing that? Surely there's got to be another alternative. So I kept doing it, and then eventually I had some health issues. My son had some health issues, but we weren't going the conventional route. We were doing everything naturally. Mm-hmm. So finally, I thought, I just need to change my career. I need to study this, because I think I know what I know. I think I can do a good job because of my medical background and history. I understand the pathophysiology of the body. And I just need to learn everything I can for all the natural cures.
At the Center, Holistic Healing, what do you do? How is your practice different than a regular doctor's practice?
Well, it's naturopathic. In other words, we don't do anything invasive. We don't use prescription drugs. Although it's not bad to use prescription drugs because sometimes it's necessary. But I use herbal therapies. I use homeopathics. I do frequency therapy. It's energy medicine, and I can get into that later. What energy medicine is?
You're a friend of Lee Cowden's. You guys know Dr. Cowden.
Yes, I have worked with him for probably about 12 years or 13 years. And he actually mentored me for the first few years, and then after that we became colleagues and we're friends and all of that.
You're getting people, my wife really wanted me. And other people, you see a lot of people out here in Dallas. Other people ask me if I knew you. This is our first meeting. I've never met you. But thank you for what you're doing. You're helping people get better. Only the amazing thing is there's not shots. There's not penicillin. You're helping the body respond to diet more favorably. You're recommending exercise, sweating, etc. How are you able to do what you do with such great results?
Well, I look at a person and I'm really thinking of wellness. What is wellness? And I believe wellness has three components, because it's wellness spiritually, it's wellness of the soul, and wellness of the physical body. So when I see someone, first I look at their physical symptoms. And with some people, I can look at their physical symptoms and think, well, I just need to give them some herbs or supplements or change their diet and they'll be fine. And with other people, though, and a lot of times with more complex illnesses, I see that there is a mental block to healing, or there's an emotional block to healing. Then I know there's a soul factor there. I need to address their psyche or their psycho-emotional balance. So something is not in balance, it's imbalance, okay? So it's a matter of lining up the physical body with the soul, their mind, and their emotions, and aligning that with also spiritual health as well.
She's an amazing practitioner. We love that she's out here in Dallas. There's so many people benefiting from her practice. HolisticHealingJS.com for more information. I've always wanted to interview Dr. J. I just got to. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Friends, I've met several people with cystic fibrosis, CF, in my lifetime, and I think it's a fungal problem, but we're handing them antibiotics because tradition says we do, right? They get bacterial infections all the time and they become resistant to the antibacterials, antibiotics, etc. So let's study cystic fibrosis a little bit. This is going to require some reading, but I'll go over the topics with you. And I want to make a point because I want for you today to become the diagnostician, okay? Help me with this one. Patients with CF battle chronic lung infections that are notoriously resistant to antibiotic therapy. Why is that, folks? Could we be treating the wrong organism? Antibiotics encourage yeast growth. We think that antibiotics is scorched earth, simply wiping an unknown portion of both healthy and hopefully the bad bacteria. But we actually have a poor understanding of what happens to the gut microbiota when people take antibiotics, both healthy people and those people with cystic fibrosis, says this doctor, reported an infectious disease. Folks, this is a biggie. Did he just say we really don't know what happens to the gut terrain when we put people on antibiotics? I do. Antibiotics are indiscriminate bacteria killers. They'll kill the bad guys, maybe causing the cystic fibrosis. If you can imagine, this is a this problem. And they'll kill the good guys that God put there and that are responsible for 70% of our immune system. And yet cystic fibrosis patients and others take antibiotics all their lives. Okay, let's keep going. What about fungus and cystic fibrosis? Candida albicans can be isolated from the respiratory cultures in up to 75% of patients with this disease, and the frequent use, I want you to see this, of antibiotics and steroids may predispose patients to colonization. They spelled it wrong. That worries me. Current fungal infection reports colonization with Candida species. That's a big way of saying 3/4 of people who have cystic fibrosis, they're doing these cultures on them and they're looking for bacteria. but they're finding yeast. Yeast is a single cell fungus, okay? So yeast is fungus. That's not all. Candida yeast is just one of them. Cystic fibrosis patients and Aspergillus fungus. There's a species, a subspecies called fumigatus. So Aspergillus fumigatus is the main fungus culture in the airways of patients with CF. Registry data suggests that Aspergillus fumigatus is cultured in 10 to 25% of CF patients and is reportedly more frequently seen in adolescents and adults. Are you doing the math? Okay, let's do one more. This is called Cetosporium, and it produces serologically cetosporosis. Okay, in cystic fibrosis patients, this is a technology, this is a machine. Counter-immunoelectrophoresis was used to detect cetosporiosis serologically in the blood. Was positive 27 out of 128 patients with CF, European Journal of Clinical. All I'm reporting is this: Cetosporidium, Aspergillus, Candida, are you with me? All yeast, all fungus. And yet we're giving 100% of patients with cystic fibrosis antibiotics and then scratching our heads and wondering why are they becoming resistant to these antibiotics. The medical model says, oh, it's because we're giving them too many antibiotics, but we have to keep them alive. And my thinking is, wait a minute, are we treating the wrong germ? Are we putting these patients on antibiotics and they should be on antifungals? So let's you and I do the math together, okay? Antibiotics or antifungals, you be the doctor. First we'll do the math. Candida, up to 75% of these patients. Aspergillus, 10 to 15% of these patients. And Cetosporium, 21.1%. There's 300 species of fungi known to be human pathogens, cause disease in humans. 3 of these fungi are found in between 106% and 111% of cystic fibrosis patients. We just took 4 minutes, and I wish every pulmonologist in America would help me study this. I wish every pulmonologist in the world knew that. Folks, they're trained by doctors who are older, and those doctors learned you give all cystic fibrosis patients antibiotics. And who taught them? Teachers who were taught that you give all cystic fibrosis patients antibiotics. I just have to wonder, if cystic fibrosis patients would starve yeast with the Kaufmann 1 diet and would get on maybe antifungals rotationally, diflucan, sporanox, griseofulvin, instead of antibiotics, would they fare better? I just want to light the bulb over your head, all of you guys, as we continue learning more about the world of fungus and how detrimental it is to patients who are sick. I hope that helps. They were moist, they were tremendous. I had these just a few weeks ago when Abby cooked these. They're called sweet potato muffins on the Kaufmann 2 diet. This is your go-to food. Let's go over there right now.
Hi, I'm Abby, and today in my kitchen I'm going to show you how to make sweet potato Kaufmann 2 muffins. They're pretty easy to bake. They've got a lot of spices in it, so they taste really good. They're great to have on hand if you want to have like a really quick breakfast to go, or if you just want a little snack, like a pre-workout snack. These are really great to have on hand. So I'm going to show you how to make them. First things first, we're going to mix all of our wet ingredients. I've got a pre-cooked, about a medium-sized peeled sweet potato. It comes out to about a cup worth of sweet potato. I've got eggs, already beaten up. I've got some olive oil. Full-fat coconut milk. And some honey. Okay, let's see if we can get all that honey out. If you don't want to use honey, you can use the pure grade maple syrup if you want. It also works. It's the same ratio too, so. Get all that out, and we'll mix all this together. All right. Now, we're gonna set this off to the side, and we're gonna mix our dry ingredients together. I've got brown rice flour, coconut flour. This is the baking soda, baking powder, a little bit of salt, cinnamon, turmeric, cloves and nutmeg, and some ground ginger. It's gonna be nice and spicy. All right. Now we've got all this mixed in together. And we're just gonna start adding it to our wet mixture. Okay. And then you just blend it all together until you get a nice thick batter. Okay. Now, this is nice and mixed. I've got some nice big chunks of sweet potato in there. All the spices are mixed up and ready to go. Now, we're gonna go ahead and put them in our muffin tin. This is pre-greased muffin tin. You can also use the little muffin liners if you want. And one thing you do wanna be sure about this is that they do puff up a lot. So, you're only gonna fill them up about 2/3 of the way full. Keep filling them in. And this will make about just a little over a dozen muffins. And again, these are great to pre-make and freeze, so you can keep eating them throughout the week for just a quick little snack, or for breakfast on the go, or dessert even if you want to. Yeah, a little bit more on this one. All right, now I'm gonna throw these in the oven at 400 degrees for about 20 to 25 minutes. All right, it's been about 20 minutes. My muffins are out of the oven, they're on the cooling rack, and I am so ready to eat them. I mean, look at that. They have just enough spice so you can really feel it, but not like it's overpowering. You can get some good chunks of sweet potato in there. The sweet potato muffins are great. They're full of spices. They're great antifungals. They're great for your health. For more recipes like this, go to knowthecause.com.
You know how Dr. Julia Schulenburg got on the show? Several of her patients called me. I had never met her. Wow, what an expert. I loved interviewing her. Let's say your doctor is going to be in Dallas. You're really proud of their approach to fungal diseases. They know a lot about fungus. Call the doctor and say, get in contact with Know the Cause, and Doug will put you on TV. I mean, we really will. We like to open up the doors to many people who live around you, to doctors who know this. Isn't that fascinating, what she had to say? Isn't it fascinating about cystic fibrosis and depression? Could these be fungal diseases? And then most importantly, as I open the show, let's close it. What'd you think about Abby's sweet potato muffin? Wow, right? God bless you guys. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.